Going to play next then, Jesus?
Well, he already has. It's Michael Sheen! Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. So, you know, when you're playing these people then, Michael, they say that you don't like to meet them, I mean the living ones, that is, obviously, before you do the role. Is that true? Do you find it easier?
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, for instance, with David Frost, who was a lovely, lovely man. Anyone who met him, you know, would always say what a lovely man he was. You don't want to be compromised at the early stages when you're still working on something. It's, you know, you're going to be fairly warts and all portrayal.
Yeah.
If you've got a relationship with someone, you don't want to be thinking, oh, will he be upset if I do this, you know? And hopefully it's a rounded portrayal. You know?
Because, I mean, you know, as we see it as viewers, you're so bang on with that characterisation that you would think that your first port of call would be to sit down and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Right, yeah. Well, you've got to make that imaginative connection, really. You've got to find a meeting point between the real person and yourself so that you can inhabit it, so it's not just an impersonation.
It's an interesting point, actually, because it's Benedict Cumberbatch, isn't it, who's playing Julian Assange in Fifth Estate, and apparently Julian said to him, don't do it, please. Don't do it.
Right, yeah. Well, I think I heard Benedict saying that maybe, like, the day he was about to start actually filming it, yeah, that's a difficult position to be in.
What would you do? What would you do then?
Well, I mean, I think you have to make a decision whether this is the right thing to do, regardless of whether the person that you're playing thinks it's the right thing to do. And that's your call, and then you have to stand by it, I suppose.
And it's your job, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to put food on the table.
You know.
Well, later on we're going to be talking to Michael about his latest creation.
Yes.
And Michael, we were just talking there, you're involved in a charity that supports foster children, really at the other end of this process.
Yeah, well, I mean, because, you know, by the time you get to your 18th birthday, you have to leave any foster care system that you're in, and then
Which
what
is
happens
early,
then?
isn't
yeah.
it?
And so in terms of where do you go to live, you know, how do you... Well, there's a charity and limited company within the Neath Port Talbot area called Dewis that I got involved with a few years ago, and they work with young people between the age of 16 and 25, helping them move into accommodation and with supported living, and then hopefully independent living as well, and help them through that process so they could be on their own two feet.
So apart then from being, you know, a local charity, as you said, was there any reason in particular? You know, did your relatives foster or anything?
Well, funnily enough, this isn't the reason why I got involved, but I did find out fairly recently, my mum and dad said, that before me and my sister were born, they got involved with an organisation where a child or children would come and be with you for like a day a week or a couple of days a week, just to either give their parents a break or whatever the situation is. And it's sort of weird to think, my parents looked after another child before I came along. But that wasn't the reason I got involved. The reason I got involved was when I was working on The Passion in Port Talbot a few years ago. And I started to find out about all this incredible work that's going on in the Neath Port Talbot area. Organisations like Dewis, like Crossroads, working with young carers, you know, Wakada, which was the alcohol and drug rehabilitation. You see all these amazing organisations working with people, and I just tried to get involved with as many of them as I could.
But it's that basic human nature, just wanting to help somebody else in trouble. But you've got to make sure that obviously it is the right place.
Oh, aren't they gorgeous?
It was absolutely fascinating.
They're astonishing babes.
Yes. And we started the programme by just saying how brilliant Michael is at mimicking, but you've got some excellent examples, haven't you, from the animal and the plant kingdom?
In honour of the great man, we troll far and wide for great animal mimics, starting with the cuckoo. Now, the cuckoo is astonishing because everyone knows its call, but also as well, look at this. Recent research work has said it's trying to mimic a sparrowhawk. So basically, like Michael playing Brian Clough, it's a sheep in wolf's clothing.
It's evolving, look at it.
It's because it wants the host bird that's going to try and go in and drop an egg in to try and disappear. So otherwise it would be bullied. So if it looks like a sparrowhawk, they'll fly away, it'll pop an egg in. And the females go one step further. They can get their eggs to mimic the host bird. So certain females will only go for medipipits, perfect egg, resembling. Others will go for reed warblers and will look identical. So they could teach him a thing or two.
Yeah.
And then we're moving on, I think, to the mimic octopus. Now, this is absolutely remarkable from Indonesia. Most octopi can change shape, but look at this one. It can change to a flounder. It's got a repertoire of 15 different animals, not just colour, but shape and size as well. And then we're going on to this one, my favourite. These are territorial damselfish. And what it's doing is it's resembling a banded sea snake, which is a predator of the damselfish. So they disappear. And finally, a crab is a predator. Watch this. It comes over, has a little look, and the octopus startles, just changes colour immediately. And the crab thinks, I don't fancy my chances there. I think I'll give that a wide berth. And it's so intelligent, it can actually change into 15 different animals and pick which one it wants according to the predator. And it's all to kind of defend itself, really.
15 different?
15 different ones.
That's great, isn't it?
You've got a cracking plant example as well.
The Titan Ava, a ridiculous Latin name, Amorphophallus titanicum. This is famous because it flowered in Kew in 2009, and it's the largest single flower in the world, the inflorescence there. And this huge spike comes up in a matter of kind of couple of days, and it stinks of rotting flesh. It's the ultimate method actor. So stinks to get into the role, and it's all to attract pollinating flies.
Very similar to my process, I am.
Indeed. Just like when he's doing David Frost.
That's the thing.
Cross-examining his parents.
You were talking about your process earlier, and you have been an animal.
I have been. Well, most drama students, when you're at drama school, at some point you have to learn to do animal study, and everyone has to pick an animal. And in retrospect, picking an animal that doesn't move much, I'll say to prospective drama students, go for one that doesn't do much movement.
What was yours?
I was a black widow spider.
Can you do it now?
It just sort of... I dressed all in black with big Dr. Martens on and sat on the top of a piano.
Don't talk yourself out.
That is remarkable.
Yeah, that's all I did. And then I dropped on Michael Powell, who was pretending to be a Labrador puppy. That's what they do.
Classic. Now, in a moment, we're going to be talking about Michael's new series. Now, it does have adult themes, but don't worry, because we'll make sure it's right for our family audience.
But for the next few minutes, we would like everybody to get a little bit closer. Come on, you two. Because now we are talking about hugging. And it's all because this lady known as Amma, now there she is, she's an Indian spiritual leader who believes that hugs can spread a bit of peace.
Oh, that feels very peaceful as we're talking here, it really does. Now, by her account, she's already hugged, are you ready for this? 32 million people.
Many?
I know, it's unbelievable.
We missed out.
The question is, can she bring herself to hug Justin Rowlett?
Oh, you can't beat a little pudsey hug. Why are you going like this?
Brilliant hugs.
And you'll have to be hugging at home too. I'm posting the pictures on our Facebook page.
Yes. So Michael doesn't feel too... there we are, Michael, we've got this for you as well. This is a special... It's a hugging cushion, this.
Oh.
So there you are. You can give yourself a nice little...
There you are.
There we are. Good. We can put
friend at last.
There you go. There you go. Take that to LA now.
Thank you very much. I will.
So, yeah, now then, your new TV series. Now, William Masters. He's kind of a pioneer, isn't he, in sexual relations. But would you say that he's at the opposite end of the scale to a hugger?
He certainly wasn't a hugger, no. He was... I mean, he's a massive contradiction, really, because on the one hand, he was doing a study about the most intimate thing that you can do. Yeah. And yet, he was really bad with people. He had terrible social skills. He was such a closed book, you know, he didn't like to be vulnerable in any way. So he's a sort of interesting character.
How did you find all that out about him?
Well, there's a book by a man called Thomas Mayer, which the series is sort of based around.
Yeah.
But he was a really difficult man to get to know. Even people who knew him all his life said they knew nothing about him, really, by the end.
Yeah.
And the relationship that he had with the woman who was his partner in terms of the work they did, and eventually became married to him as well, Virginia Johnson, it's still impossible to know what was really going on in that relationship. So it's kind of perfect drama, really.
Book.
Yeah.
But for those people who haven't seen it, you can catch up online. But just explain then, who were William Masters and Virginia Johnson?
Well, William Masters was a leading OBGYN surgeon in St. Louis in America in the sort of mid-50s. He was also a fertility expert. So he was leading his field, but he'd always, throughout his whole life, had a passion for doing a pioneering study into the effects on the human body of sex and sexuality, which obviously was a hugely controversial subject at the time. Nobody talked about it. There was nothing really... It was the most taboo subject. So in terms of his study, he was running the risk of losing all respect, you know, losing his position. So he went into the study, but he found it very difficult to deal with people, and so this woman came along, Virginia Johnson, who was his secretary to begin with, but eventually became an equal partner in the study. OK,
well, let's have a look at you in action, because, I mean, women in the 1950s, not just in medicine, but they were really kind of kept in their place, weren't they? So here's a clip of you coming in with some laundry and asking her to sort it out.
I don't understand if you think that I am qualified to conduct scientific research when it comes to the study, how I am not
At the moment,
qualified.
there is no study. The brothel is a disaster, and the study is forbidden here, something you had a hand in, I might remind you. Also, in case you've forgotten, it has taken me over 20 years to get where I am. Pre-med, medical school, a grueling residency that finally landed me in a world-class teaching hospital. Now, when you have that kind of experience under your belt, you can tell me to take the lab coats to the basement. Is that clear enough?
Ooh, you told her, didn't you?
Yeah. Ooh, he's got a tongue on him.
Hasn't he just? But it's a brilliant drama. There are, of course, as the title would suggest, some explicit scenes in it. But what does your daughter then? Because she's a teenager, isn't she, really? What does she
It's
think?
the ultimate nightmare for her.
Yes, of course.
But her dad is in a show called Masters of Sex.
Yes.
I mean, she's 14. She can barely go into school every day.
And you're going to be in it for some time yet, aren't you? Because is it
hopefully
7 series? Is it?
Well, that's a sort of standard thing in American TV.
Well, that's 160 episodes or something, isn't it?
That is a long time, potentially. I mean, you have to wait and see. We don't know yet if we're going to be able to do another series yet. We should find out soon. But standard thing is that you do a pilot, you sign on to do a pilot episode, not knowing even if the first season is going to happen, but you have to do a deal for 7 years.
Right. But you're telling us, though, that's brilliant for you because your daughter's over there living. Is it hard, though, to maintain a balance between acting here and over in LA if you're, attached to something this long?
It's not so much the acting, it's just, my family are here in Wales, a lot of my friends are here, a lot of the things that concern me and interest me the most are here, but my daughter is there, so it is a difficult balance.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope we don't lose you. Let's just hope.
No.
Anyway, Masters of Sex is on Channel 4 tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
Big thank you to Michael. Masters of Sex is on Channel 4 tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.
Now, still to come this week, we're going to have Harry Redknapp, Joan Collins, Leo Sayer, Ed Byrne and Ian McShane. It's a star-studded week.
It is. Come on. Group hug, get a bit on
Come
your
on, Michael. Come on in.
Let's finish on a
See you later. And listen up, everyone in the gallery as well, hug away.
This is nice.
This is...